I'm not technically minded. I'm no technical person. I was probably the last person on the face of the planet to own a mobile phone, and I have no technical capabilities whatsoever. However, I've kind of managed to build quite a significant social media network, and probably one of the most important messages that I want to get across is actually it doesn't take any kind of technical know-how to kind of network and to communicate and to make connections within this space. What it takes is a passion for what you do, and a passion for sharing that, and a passion for making a difference. And I can certainly see that in the room, and kind of, although I arrived late this morning, I did arrive this morning, but it's been nice to kind of see that there's so much passion in this room for actually making a difference within the NHS. Now this is me on Twitter. It's actually, I created this a few days ago. I have to say I was a bit nervous about coming here today, so I was really well prepared, unlike yourself. So and I kind of prepared. So I created this a few days ago. Since then I've changed my profile picture on Twitter, so it's slightly different now, so I'm sorry. But this is me on Twitter, and I am at Agency Nurse on Twitter, and that's how I started this journey. I was an agency nurse for about 7 years, and I found that during that time I became increasingly isolated from the nursing profession. And I was moaning about this one evening to my husband, probably my long-suffering husband, and he said to me, "Well, why don't you go onto Twitter? That's, it's a global network. It's totally open. You're bound to find another couple of nurses out there on Twitter." And I must admit, more to shut him up than anything else, I said to him, "Okay, all right, show me around on Twitter." So he sat down with me, and he went through Twitter with me, and then it went in one ear and it out the other, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm never going to use this. Connecting with people I don't know, that's a bit weird for me. So it wasn't then really until a couple of months later when I actually thought to myself, do you know what, I really do need to connect with other nurses. And I sat down, and I hated to admit it, but my husband was right. And I thought, I'm going to get my head around this Twitter lark. So I sat down and I pushed every button, and I searched for everything that was nursing related, and I followed everything that was nursing related, and I had a little bit of success. There we go. And I made connections with a few nurses. They were a bit younger than this, but I kind of thought it's kind of a little bit of irony, really. So I made connections with a few nurses and started talking to them. I thought, this is great, this is fabulous, this is exactly what I needed. So I started talking to a few nurses, and it was through those discussions that I found out about a Twitter discussion that was going on a Sunday evening, and it was held by some medics, and they were holding what was essentially a journal club online. So they were all reading a journal article, then they were getting together on a Sunday evening on Twitter and discussing that journal article and the implications of it for their practice, and actually starting to share their thoughts and ideas and their experiences. So I hopped on and I had a look, and I thought, wow, this is amazing, this is a fabulous concept. But there was this little voice in the back of my head that said, actually, this isn't nursing, this isn't what I want, this isn't what I need. So I had a few more conversations, and then decided that actually I was going to set up a Twitter discussion for nurses, and that grew and it evolved into We Nurses. And this is We Nurses. And although we started off as a Twitter discussion, and we started off by having predetermined subjects, so we'd perhaps be talking about catheter care, or we'd be talking about communication, plethora of other subjects. We actually, it grew and it evolved into something that is really quite different to what it set out to be, and it evolved into a community, and it's quite a vocal community, and it's quite a strong community, and there is a huge sense of community on Twitter and online with nurses. And we felt that at that point we needed a bit of a base. So we developed a website, and we use that, and we still use that. And it kind of contains all of that information, all of those ideas, all of those blogs, all of those pictures, all of those things that we need to share. And it's become a talking point, it's become a base, it's become that integral part of what We Nurses is about and what the nursing community on Twitter is about. But in the website by itself actually is nothing without the social media that runs behind it. And you can see here, we use all sorts of social media. We do primarily use Twitter. And what happens is we actually kind of, the social media feeds in and feeds out of the website, and the website feeds in and feeds out of social media, and all of these things are really quite interconnected. And this is what makes it work, is that we connect all of these things together to produce something that is extremely valuable. You can see obviously we use Twitter the most, which is why it's the biggest, but we also use things like Pinterest and Vimeo. We use a lot of blogs, so we get people to kind of share their blogs and share their thoughts on blogs. We not only share our own blogs but other people's blogs, because blogging is it's a really great way to get those messages out there. We do use a bit of Facebook, and we also use this, which is Prezi. Has anybody seen Prezi before? So it's a presentation, but it lives online. So what you can do is you can go and you can visit it online, you can download it, you can adapt it, you can use it, and it becomes shareable. So everything that we do, kind of, it's all connected. It all feeds into one another, all to kind of drive and feed the community. There we go. Sorry, it's not working very well. I'm having to do it twice. So just as a little bit of a side note, I mean, We Nurses has worked. There's no doubt about it that it's worked. It's worked to the extent that within 2 years we've gone from one nurse up to nearly 20,000 nurses. So it's quite significant, the impact it's having, and you can see that the graph below shows the last month of activity, and just in the last month alone we've had 21,000 interactions using We Nurses. So it's quite a vibrant community. We also just celebrated our second birthday, and we produced some wonderful word clouds from all of the tweets that have ever been sent to us. And you can see the one on the left that looks like a birthday card, that's the tweets that have all the tweets that have been sent using #WeNurses. And it just shows that actually we're just bang on target, because people are talking about nursing, and that's exactly what we wanted people to do. And the other one that looks like a little birdie, that's a word cloud of all of the people who follow us, all their bios. And again, it just shows that we're just kind of bang on exactly who we're trying to reach, and these people are engaging with us, and they are discussing things. Here are some of the big numbers. I'm told that finance people like numbers. Am I right? I don't know. Sam told me. So I've kind of included some big numbers, and I don't really want to embarrass myself by reading out the top one in its entirety, but suffice to say that it's over 401 million impressions have been made on Twitter. So an impression on Twitter is the maximum amount of people that can see any one tweet. So 401 million is quite a nice big shiny number, but kind of when we look into it a little bit more, we kind of think, well, it's impressive, but actually, it's kind of one of those pie in the sky numbers, really. But those are 124,000 tweets sent by almost 10,000 separate individuals. And that equates to 7 tweets per hour. So 7 tweets per hour, every hour, contain the #WeNurses, which is quite phenomenal, really. And one of the most important things, to my mind, not being a numbers person, with that is actually it's all these names up here, and all of these people up here. And one of the great things about social media is that actually it crosses hierarchies. And this proves that really quite nicely, because within those lists of top tweeters, we have student nurses, we have senior nurses within the Department of Health and the NHS. And that just really goes to show that actually, you know, this really does break down those barriers, and not just barriers in terms of hierarchies, but also barriers in terms of geographical locations. So again, within those top tweeters, we've got nurses from South Africa and Germany. And when you kind of think about that, you have all of that expertise in one space, then that starts to become something that's really, really powerful. This other one just kind of shows that actually this is echoed within our website. What I was saying earlier is that actually everything that we do is interconnected. So we use social media to drive what's going on the website. And you can see here the growth of the website visits, and currently the one underneath is the last month, and currently we're kind of running at about 2,500 visits to the website every single day. And all of that is driven mostly through Twitter, but also through other social media. We don't have any budget, by the way, so we don't, we're run mostly on a voluntary basis, so we have no budget. Everything we do is word of mouth, so everything that we do is people saying to one another, have you followed We Nurses? Are you following We Nurses? Go and have a look. So if we move back to the network, all of this is happening because of something that I'm going to have a bit of a Miranda moment, something that I like to call open space conversations. So an open space conversation is a conversation that happens in a large open space and everybody can see it. And that's what happens on Twitter, that's what happens on social media, that's what happens. And the wonderful thing about that is that people start to join in with those conversations. So it's not just nurses that are actually joining in these conversations. We're getting patient groups who are coming to us, and we're working with to develop conversations, to have the conversations that are important to them within this space. Almost every single We Nurses conversation has a patient or a carer that comes on and joins in. And that becomes something quite phenomenal. We also get approached by a lot of organisations to hold these conversations, and these actually create some really wonderful opportunities in terms of the nurses. We've been able to feed into the consultation around the new vision and strategy for nursing, and that's something that wouldn't have happened. And certainly me as an agency nurse, I'd have never even have heard about that vision and strategy until possibly 2-3 years down the line. And we've also been able to hold conversations about the new code of conduct that's coming out for nurses. One of the really interesting ones up there is is Parliament, and I was very shocked one day to get an email from Parliament, and I thought, oh my lord, what have I done now? Almost too scared to open it, and I opened it, and it was actually it led to a chain of events that enabled us to send nurses to the Health Select Committee at Parliament to tweet from the Health Select Committee, and they were able to share the value of what was going on inside the Health Select Committee with the wider community, and that became something extremely powerful. And we now kind of sit on a group with the Parliament outreach team, and we're able to kind of share our learning with Parliament and with other organisations on how we can move forward within social media and within this space. But having said all of that, these people don't really matter at the end of the day. Am I on camera saying that? That's not good, is it? But these people don't matter because actually social media isn't about these large organisations. Although it sounds really impressive, it's not, and it's not about these large organisations. It's actually clicker work. There we go. It's going to zoom and it's just flashing. But never mind. It's actually about people, and it's actually about people like me, and it's actually about passionate people. And this is probably a bunch of people who you won't know. I didn't know about them until I joined Twitter, and some of them are quite famous people, and some of them aren't. And that's the wonderful thing about this space, is that actually good ideas and value can come from absolutely anywhere. And that's the really, really important thing to remember, is that actually, you know, an agency nurse can add value to healthcare. So some of these people have run and guest hosted We Nurses discussions. Some of them have taken the We Nurses account for a day and tweeted as We Nurses for the day. And they range from student nurses all the way up to Professor Steve Field from CQC. So it really is kind of, it's not about who you are within an organisation. It's not about being a large organisation. It's about the passion, and it's about having a passion for what you do. One of the great things about people is that when they see something good, they want to join in. And the clicker's not working there. Oh, go back. There we go. So we've had all sorts of people want to come on board and join in the whole We community. So we've got commissioners. I know there's some commissioners in the room, or there's some financial people to do with commissioning in the room. Am I getting my terminology right? I don't know. So we've got the commissioners. We've recently had some school nurses come on board, and they're a very small bunch. I think that there's less than 2,000 of them in existence. So actually, you know, to be able to connect in this way is something really powerful for them. But not only for them to connect, but actually to show the whole world what they're doing and the value that they're creating and the part that they actually play within healthcare has become very important. We've got chaplains and paramedics and pharmacists and midwives. So all sorts of people within healthcare are joining in and actually creating something that's quite big and quite complex. I stopped after a while with the lines, not only because I got bored, but also because I thought actually after a while it will stop looking artistic. So I stopped for a while. But actually, what's happened is from one very passionate nurse, we've created a whole network of possibilities. And I don't think that we'll ever know the ripples that's created. I know that, you know, to my mind, if one conversation makes one difference to one nurse, then that's a success. But I don't think we'll ever really know the impact that has on patients and on patient care. We get snapshots, we get stories ever so occasionally, but we don't really know the ripples that has. But we do know that actually these connections are growing, and they're growing at a phenomenal rate, and more people are connecting, and we're starting to break down those silos that exist within healthcare. So actually, you know, we're now able to have a direct line to commissioners. We're able to hold discussions with school nurses and with midwives. And that's got to be good, that's got to be powerful, that's got to be one of the most amazing things about working within this space. So I think that's really about it. And if the clicker works for one last time, there we go. So this is me on Twitter. We're at We Nurses and we're at Agency Nurse. And for those of you who aren't on Twitter, just start the ball rolling, get out there, get on there, start making connections, start sharing some of the passion that's in this room out there within a digital space, and start having those open space conversations, because we want to know what you know. Before I stepped into this room today, I had no idea who you were and what you do. And, you know, as far as I was concerned, it was something to do with numbers. And that was it. So I'd love to know what you do. So get out there, talk lots. That's it. Thank you.